Okay, we'll talk a little bit about what pre-war life was like, where you grew up.
I grew up.
Thank you.
It was Czechoslovakia, then when I was born. It was 20 years Czechoslovakia. After that, the Hungarian came in. After the 20 years. They were there about a year and they deported us. I was born in Nashville, in Antalovce. It's now Ukraine. It used to be Czechoslovakia, Hungarian, now it's Ukraine.
What year were you born? What year were you born?
A little louder.
I'm sorry, what year were you born?
What year?
I'm sorry.
A little hearing.
That's okay,
wrong,
that's
wrong.
okay.
I was born the 3rd of August, 1925,
1925.
in Antalovce.
In, I'm sorry, what country?
And
What was Czechoslovakia became Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. How many brothers and sisters did you have?
We were 7 children. From the 7, only 2 of us left. Maybe you know Esther Schlanger, she's my sister.
I do know Esther. We interviewed her.
Yeah,
We did. We interviewed her our last trip out.
Schlanger.
Yeah. No,
Thank
Gertrude
you.
Schlanger. That's
Gertrude.
who we interviewed.
Yeah,
Gertrude.
you Gertrude.
Are they
That's her-
related?
That's a sister-in-law.
Oh, okay. No,
Good.
Esther, we didn't. Gertrude. That's right.
Yeah. My sister, she's 90, and she's not able to give you answers.
Okay. Okay. I just knew Schlanger sounded familiar.
Yeah.
What did your parents do? What did your father do?
We were, he was with wood, what's the lumber?
Lumber?
With lumber, and we had a little farm there.
Tell me what you remember about growing up there. In 1925, so it was probably 10, 15 years before anything really started. Is that about right?
Yeah, it's about, no, I was in the early 20s then.
Tell me what it was like growing up there.
Well, like you grow up, I couldn't tell too much, just helping out the family, and that's it.
Working on the farm.
Yeah, and going to school, and that's about it.
Do you remember experiencing any anti-Semitism or anything when you were a child?
Very well.
You do?
It was when the Hungarian came in. They used to be that mean those neighbors ours, that they used to break in the windows. We had to put,
Wood?
wood on it, on the windows, and always shouting, the Jew is dead, the Jew is dead, The anti-Semitic words.
What did you think was happening? Did you just think you lived in a place that...
We didn't do nothing. We couldn't do nothing. We didn't have any right to do it. We just come night. We went hiding in the woods. Nobody would find us. And in the morning we came back.
You were hiding in the woods?
Yeah, running away so the people who break the windows wouldn't get to us.
This was before the war?
That was when the Hungarian came in. That already was Nyilas, then they called it those anti-Semites,
Do you remember what year that was? Was that after Kristallnacht, do you remember?
That was before we were deported, about a year before.
Do you remember how old you were then?
Well, it would be about 18, 17, 18.
So growing up there as a child, though, you stayed in your house at night, or you still left?
Sometimes we did, sometimes not. When we saw it's a little quiet down, then we stayed. When it's a little, we felt that something's coming up, we went away. Or we were hiding on the attic.
How was that? What did you think was happening?
We couldn't tell. We couldn't tell what's going to happen, so we just hide,
Did your parents talk to you about it?
of course.
Do you remember what they used to tell you was
What
happening?
could they do? But there was nothing to talk. We just had to suffer.
What do you remember most about that time?
Not much.
Do you remember being afraid more than anything?
That's all.
Hungry?
That's all. Afraid. Hungry, no.
No?
We weren't hungry.
But
I
afraid.
couldn't say that, just afraid.
Tell me about the war. Where were you around 1938, 1939?
I was, that time, it was all right in our place. It started out after 40.
So you were okay until then. 1940, what do you remember?
40 to 44.
What do you
44 we were deported
Deported to where?
to Ushhorod, if you heard about it.
Deported to where again, I'm sorry?
Ushhorod.
Uh-huh.
It was a ghetto. It was what's the name? Brick factory. And they brought us from our place of homes to the ghetto, and we were there. I was there about 4 or 5 weeks. It was open. You had the roof over it and no walls, just open floor, nothing else. And we were there for about 5 weeks. After that, they deported us to Auschwitz,
Your whole family?
my whole family. And back came just me and my sister. And my brothers, they were living in Prague. They went even earlier in the camps. They were in Theresienstadt.
You were about 15 in 1940.
Well, I can't remember.
That's okay.
You
That's
go
okay.
back.
Yeah, no, you were born in 1948, or excuse me,
25.
1925, and in 1940 you've been about 15 years old. And that's when you were taken to the ghetto.
No, to get up, I was about 18, no? 1944,
Oh, 1944 you were 19, that's right.
yeah.
So, do you remember when you went to Auschwitz?
I remember we came, my sister had 2 children, and my parents were together, so my mother took 2 children and one left with her, my sister. And that they divided us, left and right, and we were separated. And we came there, and they told us that we're going in the shower. And so they showered us, and we were expected, you know, which one can go, rights and lefts, you know, who stays alive, who doesn't stay alive,
Right.
you might say.
Was that the last time you saw your mother?
Last time I saw my mother,
Was that day the last time you saw your mother?
just when we got from the train down. My mother and father, that's the last time I saw them, my sister with the children. And that's about it. And then we stuck in Auschwitz. I was in the 16 block, I believe, if I remember right.
16th block at Auschwitz?
Or 15 or 16, I don't remember.
And how long were you there?
I was there about until approximately. I was there about 8, 6, 7, about 8 months.
8 months.
After that, they took us to work.
What did you understand was happening to you at the time?
We knew everything because there was people who told us about it, you know. We had there Polish people who were there about a year or 2 already. And they told us what's going on. I just suffered and cried, and that's about it.
Were you religious?
The-
Were you raised religious, Orthodox? Or
yeah, I'm Orthodox.
Orthodox. Religiously speaking, how did you understand what was happening to you? And let me help you understand that question. Some survivors felt abandoned by God. Some felt God could not control what was happening. Some prayed, some didn't. Some still pray, some never went back to God.
No, we are in it. We still stay with God,
You stayed with God. Do you?
my family.
What do you think? How do you think? What kept you praying while you were there?
Just to stay alive. That's all. That we wouldn't be burned like the rest of us, my family and everybody's family.
We had somebody say that she prayed because it was the only thing the Nazis couldn't take away from her. Did you feel that way?
Couldn't take what away?
Her religion, her prayer, her faith.
Oh, yeah.
Did you feel that
yeah,
way?
I felt that nobody can take that away. You're born with it, you stay with it.
How did you explain what was happening to you while you were there? Did you wonder where God was through all this?
You just said, thank God we are alive, you know? And the rest of us, we couldn't help it. We had to take the way it is. There was no other way.
What do you remember?
Just live in fear.
What do you remember most about Auschwitz?
Not much to remember. You stayed in the block on the, there was the bank beds, two or three, those. And we were 8 people by the head, 8 by the legs. That's the way we slept. So there was nothing to remember. We just went and slept, and in the morning at 3 or 4 o'clock, they waked us up and went in a line, 5 line. And they just went through and counted us. And they looked whom they take it out to burn it. So when we came back, we just said, thank God we are still alive.
What was your job in Auschwitz?
I didn't have any.
You didn't have a job? No. What were your duties during the day? What did you do during the day?
Just sleep and talk, and that's it.
Anybody that you remember talking to? No.
I remember any people.
Were you there with your sister?
My sister the whole time.
She was there with you the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know where
We
your
were
other...
lucky we stayed together.
You didn't know where your other siblings were?
No.
No. During this time...
We had a Blokova. She was a Polish. Jirka was her name. She was pretty rough sometimes. Jewish girl.
Rough how?
She didn't believe if somebody was sick or not sick, or he just pretending to be sick, you know. So we got through the way it was.
She was somebody who was at the camp with you?
Yeah, she was the Blokova. She took care for all of us.
She took care of all of you?
Well, the food came in. She was in charge on it. Well, if something comes up, nothing big.
By 1944, pretty much everybody knew what was going on by then. I've heard it said, also I'm actually the grandchild of Hungarian survivors. And one of the things that they had said was they found it impossible to believe that there was a death factory.
Yeah, that's right.
Even in 1944 or 1943,
that's right.
The Hungarian invasion being March of 1944, they still refused to believe that there were Jews being slaughtered.
That's true.
Did you feel that way?
The same way. And from Auschwitz, I went to Heinichen. That's Germany. That was a factory from machine gewehr, they called it. How do you say of English? Munition factory or something.
An ammunition factory?
Machine gewehr, that's what they called it. We were working there from 6 o'clock in the evening to 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's where you worked?
Yeah.
What did you do there?
The parts.
Worked on the line? With your sister?
With my
Still with your
sister
sister?
together, yes.
So you were transported out of Auschwitz to a factory.
Yeah.
This is in, do you remember what year?
Heinichen. Oh, which year?
Yeah, do you remember?
That was about how long could it be? About 5-6 months, something like that. I don't really remember.
It's okay. Do you remember how old you were? Maybe in your 20s? Yeah.
Something early 20s.
Had you heard yet about possible liberation?
And
That the Russians were coming?
Yeah, well, the revelation was like this. We heard the bombing, and when it was almost the end of it, they took us they wanted to go to Theresienstadt. They took us to Theresienstadt. We went with the train a while, and they put us down on the front, on a place just where land. They claimed that Theresienstadt doesn't have place. We have to stay. We stayed there about 10 days, with no food, with nothing. Many of them there ate grass. Mother, we still had it there. And it came to, after the 10 days, we walked to Theresienstadt. They got us where to put it, so we went to Theresienstadt. And there we were just lying down on those bunk beds and waited for something to come. And then in 45, the Russian came and we were liberated.
Tell me about that day.
Wonderful day. Ran out, everybody ran out and waved to the soldiers. They went through. And it's unbelievable. Can't explain it. It was the most wonderful day of our lives.
We have somebody that celebrates that as a birthday. You feel that way? We have somebody that says that day, Liberation Day, was like a second birthday. You feel that way?
Yeah, yeah.
He called it the birth of his freedom. Does that mean something to you?
Yeah, that's it, right. That's how we get to be alive.
Where did you go from there?
To Prague.
To a DP camp?
We registered all and went to Prague. And there was, I think it was a YMCA, if I remember right. So we went there, and there they fed us for a while and put us on the train and shipped us, to our homes. But we came to home.
Still with your sister?
Just 2 of us. I don't know about others, what happened to them, but I know that we went from Prague to look for the house. We didn't find nobody. I don't know what's happened. Then we didn't have where to turn. My brothers came back, 2 of them, and they lived in Prague. So they found some home. And we come back, and I lived in Prague after that. And
So you and your sister and 2 brothers survived.
yeah,
You lost in 3 more,
3 more.
and then your parents, and then your sister's children.
Yeah. Parents, and that hurts the most. It's about the story.
When
I came back from home, went to Prague, I was there living 3 years.
you lived there 3 years.
Yeah, and then we decided when the communists came in that we go out.
Were you married yet at that time?
No,
No. Did you come to the U.S. from there?
no, I went to Canada. I went to Austria and registered there, and I had to wait for the quota. I had to go to America, but the quota was too long, so we decided we go to Canada.
You said the quota was too long?
The American quota.
Letting so many people in?
Yeah,
Right, okay.
right. So we had long to wait, so I decided, my sister was already here. So we went to Canada, and I was living in Toronto for 7 years.
You and your brothers?
No, just
you,
me.
Just you.
Just me, and I married there in Toronto.
And then when did you come to the U.S.?
It was 1957,
So you've been here a long time. You come straight to Nashville?
straight to Nashville,
What brought you here?
because the sister left here.
Oh, this is where she came.
Yeah, we went through so much. Not to be together would be a shame.
And you came here.
Yeah,
How do you like Nashville?
I like Nashville. It's my home. I feel I'm home. The home I had at home, that wasn't the home anymore. America's my home.
What do you remember most when you look back on your whole experience, when you think about it?
What I remember the most,
When you think about it, what do you remember the most?
just how I grew up and what we went through, the bitterness. And I can't explain it.
Did you tell your children what happened?
They know, yeah.
Did they have trouble understanding?
Yeah, well, they grow up here, so they can't understand completely. That's my life.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
There is nothing to add to it.
When you understand that 14, 15, 16-year-old children are going to hear the story, your story or somebody else's story, they're going to be shocked. They're going to be shocked that not just maybe they've heard about the Holocaust in a history class.
That's not it. When you see someone else in trouble, you feel that you go through to it too, because you can't take it just yourself. You have to look somebody else suffers too. So you feel like a lost person.
What do you want someone to know about what happened? What would you want them to know if they were to learn about the Holocaust?
The bitterness that we went through, and it's indescribable and couldn't be not. That's what we remember. We can't describe what it was, how you go through. The morning you wake up, you say, thank God, I'm here and I'm okay. All I need now is to be well. And if that you don't have it, you don't have nothing.
Honored. We're all honored that you came out to share this story with us. I know it was very difficult.
Thank you. It is difficult. You
No.
see, it's not so easy. That's why I already a long time that you asked me for that, and I couldn't get to it. My heart didn't
okay.
get to it to talk about it. It gets you somewhere, but you remember in the nights after it.
I know. And I want you to know that the Holocaust Commission and the Jewish Federation has counselors and social workers for bringing back up some memories. If there's somebody that you want to talk to, I can put you in touch with somebody, if that might help.
Thank you.
And I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else you'd like to add?
That's all. Can't tell you more. I told you all of it.
Okay, that's okay.
It's bitter, but I went on.